Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Simhachalam Dhamma ki jai, Gaur Premanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That was an interesting little ritual. Yes, continuing today our discussion about cows, with deep apologies to the routine program of reading Srimad Bhagavatam and reciting and then discussing. Actually, today, though, I want to at least a little bit refer to references to cows in the Bhagavatam. We've been going very slowly, gradually. We're still in the first chapter of this book, Cow Care in Hindu Animal Ethics, but so it is. It's an opportunity for me to review what I've written and maybe consider with your input how it could be better written, or to see what sort of questions come up that might be better addressed. So maybe we should review a little bit. What have we talked about so far? We've talked about cows in the Rig Veda, in the Upanishads, and the Mahabharata. But we may ask, okay, so what are we learning from these works? From the Rig Veda, we can say we're learning that cows are auspicious, they are valuable, they are to be protected, they are associated with all things nourishing, they're associated with well-being, and they are identified with speech. That identification with speech is interesting. It has something to do with the understanding of how the universe works. The universe is understood to originate out of speech. This is a little different from how we generally understand universes. I won't go into that subject, but this is one of the associations that's made, cows and speech. And one of the principles that comes in the Bhagavatam in general, in many places, is the power of speech. Speech is powerful. You can do things with what you say. You can make things happen with what you say. You may not, but someone may speak a curse, and that curse can change a person's life. It could end a person's life, as we see in the case of Maharaj Parikshit being cursed. And the opposite, being blessed especially by the Lord and, His devotees, is also life-changing, life-transforming. In the Upanishads, we had a couple of stories, and what we saw there was the association of service to cows with success in spiritual life, becoming enlightened. He served cows on behalf of the Guru. Everything about ultimate reality can become revealed. That was the story of Satyakama Jabala and his teacher Gotama. There was another story about Nachiketas and his father and Yamaraj, and there we learned that cows are kept and they might be given in charity, although not considered appropriate, when they are older, when they are no longer productive and so on. They're still valued. And they're also, in that same story, an indicator of spiritual detachment, in the sense that the offer by Yamaraj that he becomes, that Nachiketas, the offer of Yama to Nachiketas, that he becomes wealthy, powerful, influential, etc. That offer included that he would become the possessor of many cows, and Nachiketas rejects that because he's now become detached from worldly interests. And so we see a move from Rigveda values to Upanishads. We can, of course, put this in terms of Karma Kanda going to Jnana Kanda. And then with the Mahabharata, the concern shifts toward Dharma, where the question of what is Dharma is tied in with the question, what is better, to be active in the world, pravritti marga, or to be withdrawn from the world, nivritti marga, all of which gets very nicely resolved in Bhagavad Gita. It's not either or, it's both and for Krishna. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. Mam evaishasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Doing everything for the Lord is being active and being detached from results, and being eager that the Lord is pleased, so not being detached from pleasing the Lord. And that's in the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, that's Bhagavad Gita, which is in the Mahabharata. And we saw that cows are very much revered in the Mahabharata. In fact, Bhishma refers to cows as the mother of all creatures. We hear elsewhere that cows are one of 7 mothers of human beings. We may think, what are the other mothers? Well, we have our own mother. The earth is a mother. So that's 3. Then the nurse is a mother. The queen of the king of the country is a mother. Let's see now, we have 2 more to remember. The wife of the Brahmana, very good. Wife of the guru. Ah, yes, if the guru is married. Which is traditional. The guru was a householder traditionally. And we heard something about the giving of cows in charity, and we might remember that the word go has two other meanings. Does anyone remember, other than cow? Yes, Dean. The senses, yes. I didn't mention that here, but you're right. And there are two other meanings of go. Speech, yes. Speech was one, and the earth, yes. And therefore, you can get equal, you can get the same benefit, because this is very much about getting sort of karmic benefit. You can get the same benefit from giving cows, giving land, and how do you give speech? By giving knowledge. One might ask, what about senses, giving senses? Well, yes, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes a number of yagyas in the 4th chapter, one of which is to offer the senses into the fire of what? The mind? The senses into the fire. It's depending. If it's the brahmacharya, it's into the fire of the mind, I believe. And if it's the grihastha, it's into the fire of the sense objects. All of this we've had so far is more or less within the area. Discussing cows is within these two contexts of karma kanda and jnana kanda. And so devotees of Krishna might shrug their shoulders and say, well, these are not important for us, therefore cows are not important for us. Right? Wrong. So then we proceed to the Bhagavatam, and in the Bhagavatam we'll be in familiar territory, where we understand cows are very dear to Krishna, and if they're dear to Krishna, they have to be dear to the devotees of Krishna. We've already discussed the encounter with Maharaj Parikshit, Kali, and the cow and the bull. So, excuse me, I won't repeat that. I will proceed to the next important episode, which is, now I'm speaking even too slowly for the translator to speak cohesively. Okay, then I think then we go to the 4th canto, yes. And as I'm sure you'll remember, we have the story in the 4th canto of King Prithu. He is considered to be a portion of Lord Vishnu, and his queen, what's his queen's name? Anyone remember? Archie, yes, Archie. She's considered a portion of Lakshmi. So at the time of King Prithu's coronation, there had been trouble in the land. The trouble had been caused, we're to understand, because the previous king, whose name was Vena, was not at all governing in a proper way. He was a disturbed soul, you can say. And he was causing so much trouble by his misrule that the earth was withdrawing her wealth. And so now Maharaj Prithu is the king, he is the emperor, and as a responsible emperor now, king, he wants that there be well-being for everyone, but how to get the earth to again produce. And here we have another allegory. We have earth manifesting as cow. And not only cow, but a cow who speaks. And not only a cow who speaks, but a cow who speaks perfect Sanskrit. And now something quite shocking happens. Prithu takes bow and arrow and chases after Bhumi in the form of a cow, threatening her as if to kill her. This is in the Bhagavatam, attacking a cow. Before it was Kali, and we understood, this is Kali. Now we have Prithu, and Prithu he's kind of the founder Acharya king. He's coming much long before Maharaj Parikshit, and he is an expansion of Narayan. He is the ideal king, and what is he doing? He's chasing after a cow with a bow and an arrow. Well, she pleads with him because she can speak, and she can speak perfect Sanskrit. So she says in English, "O knower of Dharma," she addresses him as knower of Dharma, "to whom unfortunate creatures are dear, who are established as the protector of living beings, deliver me, please protect me." So he's attacking a cow who is the earth, and he's attacking a woman. This is another problem. Thinking in terms of Dharma, this is another serious issue. So Prithu is being challenged, but he defends his behavior. He says that the earth has not been yielding grains. We have been now doing proper yagyas, and still you're not reciprocating. And so something has to be done. And the cow earth is eating grass, but she's not yielding milk. So he's not happy with this situation. Then Prithu becomes even more threatening. He says, "With my arrows I shall pacify the hungry, distressed people with your sliced flesh." Whoa! This is in the Bhagavatam. He even accuses the earth cow of being a false cow. You're not a real cow. You are Maya Gum, which means a false goer, false going. And so he's justifying that I can kill you because you're anyway not a real cow. We hear this in India. Many times people in India will say, our Indian cows, these are cows. And your Western cows, they're not cows. It's an interesting point. They are different types of cows, no doubt. There are two major divisions. There's Bos Indicus and there's Bos Taurus. So the Western cows are Bos Taurus. But the fact that they can interbreed would be one indication that they are the same species. There are a lot of debates among biologists what constitutes a species. But one way that a species is, I heard there's over 30 different ways of saying that this is a species. But one of them is that they can interbreed. Anyway, Prithu Maharaj says, you're a false cow. And he says, if you're not going to yield, the wealth that you should be yielding, then I will make other arrangements for maintaining the creatures of the earth by my mystic yogic power. So these are strong words, and at this point the cow humbles herself before the king and offers prayers to him, recognizing him to be Lord Vishnu. Shri Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsingadeva Ki Jai. She again asks him why he, for whom Dharma is of primary importance, desires to kill her. But at the same time, she recognizes he is the Lord. And so he's the source of all creation. And actually, he's the cause of all conditions in creation, which suggests that ultimately the problem is also he is to blame. But she concludes, well, his behavior is contradictory. Prithu's behavior is contradictory, and it's also wondrous. It's something to simply feel astonished about, not to be judged. And then she explains why she's been withholding her bounty, her wealth. Up until now, her giving of grains and herbs and seeds have been enjoyed by contemptible people, by nasty people. Persons who have no spiritual vision, no spiritual understanding. As a result, as a consequence, she, the earth, has been neglected. That's something to reflect on. the earth is being neglected. While they're fighting over, turf, over space on the earth, everyone is neglecting the earth. The way that farming is done today, most places is highly destructive to the soil. The amount of soil loss, annual soil loss, is frightening. Desertification is happening as we speak. So this is all neglect of the earth. The earth needs care. As cows need care, earth needs care. If we care for cows, we are caring for the earth, caring for cows. They go very much together. As a result, the earth, has been neglected and victimized by thieves, and her gifts have been misused for selfish ends, rather than being offered in sacrifice. But now King Prithu is the king, and she says now she wants to cooperate with him, and so she'll do so if he arranges to bring a calf suitable for milking the earth. And then comes this series of kind of list of different sorts of calves, different sorts of receptacles for milk, and different groups of persons to receive her quote-unquote milk. So it's all very allegorical. And the whole idea is that the earth gives everything to everyone according to their need. But there should be a responsible person, a king, a pious king, who is overseeing to inspire the earth to give in this way. Prithu shows this milking process by transforming the cosmic progenitor Manu into a calf. Now it gets, because it's allegory, it's like, how does that work? Well, it works. Don't ask me how it works. King Prithu transforms Manu into a calf. You can tell all your friends. Did you know that King Prithu transforms Manu into a calf? And they will say, who is Prithu? Who is Manu? What are you talking about? Well, it takes some understanding. And then, there's a whole series of these, but how does he receive the milk? In this case, Prithu himself cups his hands to receive the milk. But what is the milk that he receives? He receives grains and herbs from the earth. Another example, the sages they transform Brihaspati, the priest of the Devatas, into a calf, and they milk the Vedic hymns into the senses. Now, when you hear that, it forces you to stretch your idea of cows milking process and milk. We're obviously dealing here with allegory, with figurative speech, but there's it's showing relationships. In this case, it's very interesting. Sages transform Brihaspati into a calf. Now, why do we have to have a calf when milking the cow? Because cows give milk when they have a calf, and when the calf is there, then they give milk. I saw this in Talasari farm, north of Mumbai. I was there for 10 weeks in lockdown in the beginning of the pandemic time. And it's already 2 years ago. Well, and they have some 200 cows there, Gir cows. Gir is a particular breed from northwest India. Very charming cows. They have very long ears that sort of hang down. Reddish colored cows. And of the 200 cows, about 32 to 34 of the cows were giving milk. 200 cows and oxen and bulls. About 30, 34 were giving milk. And they had a team every morning, every evening. And they were quite organized, hand milking only. And they kept the calves separate. There were so many calves in one area. Not even as big as this temple room. They were all together. And they would, the cowherd would come and call the name of the calf that should now come to its mother. And the calf, he would call a few times, and then the calf would kind of get it. Oh, he's talking about me, okay. And then that calf would come. All the calves wanted to go to their mothers, but no, you keep back. And then they would call. And then he would open the gate, and the little calf would run out and run into the area where the milking was going on, and run to his or her mother and start suckling. And then after a rather short time, they would pull the calf away and tie her up next to the cow, and then they would milk the cow. So there has to be a calf. So the sages make Brihaspati into a calf. He's the priest of the devatas. And then the sages, milk. What do they milk, or who do they milk? They milk the Vedic hymns. So now the cow is in the form of Vedic hymns. And from the Vedic hymns is coming speech, actually. And where is this going? What kind of vessel is taking? The senses. So then the senses, all the senses together, being represented, are being satisfied, are being nourished by the Vedic hymns. That's the idea. That's interesting. It says also that the cosmic demons, the asuras, also get what they want. What do they want? They want liquor and beer. So they get what they want. And what is the pot that they put it in? An iron pot. iron pot. Who was the calf? Anyone know who the calf was? No? Prahlad. Yeah, Prahlad. Remember, Prahlad is an asura. Did you hear that? The Swami said today, Prahlad is an asura. No. Yeah, so like this, so all the different kinds of beings, predator animals, prey animals, yogis, trees, even mountains receive their desired milk prizes from the earth, each with appropriate calves. Well, but all of this is still very, in a sense we could say archaic, until we come to the 10th canto and we hear what devotees are really interested in, is how Krishna is a cowherd. He spends his time. What's God's profession? What's his job? Where does he go to work? He goes to the forest with his cows. I tell the story of the lifting of Govardhan because cows are very much involved in that pastime. In particular, after Lord Indra realizes his mistake and withdraws, then he comes to Lord Krishna with a celestial cow, Surabhi. And Surabhi also is able to speak, and she also speaks perfect Sanskrit. And she requests Lord Krishna that you please become our Indra. You be the Indra of us cows. Indra is a kind of generic term meaning Lord. So the Indra we usually refer to as the Lord of the heavenly realm. But Krishna is installed as the Indra of the cows. And therefore he's given the name Govinda. Govinda is Lord of the cows. And so there's a grand abhisheka, royal consecration. And then it's described that the cows, out of joyfulness, drench the earth with their milk. They flood the earth with their milk. Rivers flow with various liquids. The trees flow with sweet sap. Vegetables thrive without cultivation. And mountains yield jewels on their surfaces. Even predator animals are said to shed their vicious natures. This is Vrindavan. And this is when Krishna is present as Govinda. Hare Krishna. Maybe should I stop there? If there's a comment on anything so far, we can at least pause. Sanjay, yes.
Yeah. Yes, it's just like maybe foolish idea of a layman coming to my mind when you described how they take the milk from the cows by putting the cows there and then restraining them again.
Restraining the calves.
As far as I understood, it is like that. Yes.
Right.
And so, and as layman, I'm thinking, is that not also a little exploitive, or like maybe there's certain things which I don't understand about the psychology of the cows and calves, or how Krishna has arranged everything, and is it like, did they do it like that also 5,000 years ago when cows were more protected, or is it a modern thing? And I was just wondering about this.
Yeah, no, it's a matter of controversy. Even I've heard different cowherds arguing about this, how much milk the calves should receive, and whether they should drink to their full satisfaction or they can be restrained. If I remember correctly, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam that the calves are restrained at some point. This is one of the things that the abolitionist vegans argue, is that you're denying milk to the calves. The explanation I heard from one quite experienced devotee cowherd in India is that one doesn't. It's counterproductive to deny the calves their milk. They must get the milk they need, because if you deny it, they will be inhibited in their development, and as a result, they can be, not healthy. They themselves will not be, as they grow up, as productive, and so on. So they need to be properly fed. And I think it's dependent a lot on the breed, but some breeds will have more milk than the calves need. And it's understood then, okay, that extra milk, that's for human beings. The vegans will say, no milk for human beings. Your mother's breast milk, that's fine, otherwise no. But it's a delicate thing, because as soon as you commercialize milk, tendency will be there to exploit. Danger is there, and how to regulate that can be challenging. While I was there in Talasari, I didn't get into, I was a guest there, so I didn't challenge, I just decided, okay, they're doing what they take as proper. Some will say you give two teats of the milk sack for the calf and 2 for the humans. I've heard that. Have you heard that, Asti Gopal?
I don't have so much experience. Hare Krishna, I don't have so much experience, but what I was reading, it depends how old is calf.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he has to drink everything. And proportionally, when it grows, the calf is growing, then he's drinking from 3, from 2, and from 1.
Oh, okay.
But as always, it also depends on the condition of calf.
Yeah.
One has to see development.
Yeah.
One has to be expert to see if cow is not underfed or overfed. And seeing means everyday checking. And one also has to see digestion of calf and so many little details which doesn't make that you can just say it's like this or like that.
There's no simple formula only.
Also, plus there is psychology of calf and mother. Some calves cannot be separated from mothers. Some can be. So for this also is needed experience to understand the behavior and needs of cow and calf.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, now Hasikopal.
So I just had a question for you. I was hearing many times Prabhupada's lectures in regards to Kali Yuga. And our tendency as people with hope, as devotees, we are happy if we are practicing according to the process and following it, so automatically according to the scientific process of Krishna consciousness, we automatically are happy. So we should be happy people. But the situation in the world is that Kali Yuga is progressing, and I still clearly don't understand. Kali Yuga is progressing with every single day, with every hour, every second, and you mentioned the symptoms, exploitation of the soil, desertation, and health decreasing, strength of the intelligence is decreasing.
Tatas chanudinam dharma satyam socham kshamadaya kalena palina rajan nangshatyayur balang smriti. Day by day, everything is diminishing. Yes. Yeah. 12th canto.
So still, we are practicing, and Srila Prabhupada gave us mission to establish self-sufficient Krishna-conscious communities. But the general situation, I can just tell from my experience, is that from 5 years when I'm here, 3 years were big drought here in the farm. Even though we are, every week we are performing fire sacrifice, we are chanting the holy name here.
Yeah.
But still the Kali Yuga is affecting us and we cannot avoid it. So what we should see the general situation of the world, or still we should try to do the things which we used to do, but because of the climate change we are not able to do, or we should just expect Krishna's mercy, that even though land is not able to produce because of the Kali Yuga influence, Krishna still will supply us the necessary things to offer for him. And then, of course, to take by ourselves because we have to maintain our bodies.
Yeah. That's a big question. Of course, we have to see the reality of where we are, what the situation is, and Prabhupada would often use this phrase, making the best use of a bad bargain. We can take that individually, the bad bargain being our own physical physical and mental bodies. And we can take it in a broader sense. So, making the best use means applying our intelligence, what Krishna gives us in terms of abilities and so on, to do the best we can with what we have. And in that way, practice one of the principles of yoga, which is santosha, or satisfaction, or an austerity of the mind in the mode of goodness is mana prasada. Prasada, we always think means kana, but prasada means clarity. It means kind of related with the idea of satisfaction. So, from a position of a clear mind, of a sense of inner satisfaction, despite all the circumstances around us, the degradation, from that position we can really make the best of a situation that gets a lot worse before it gets better. Now that may not sound very encouraging, but that's what comes to my mind, is how we have to act realistically. We can lament about the fact that it's Kali Yuga and things are getting worse, but that doesn't really help us, and it doesn't really help others either. We recognize conditions, and we do what we can. We pray to Krishna to help us to go beyond what we can or what we think we can, to help the situation.
In this regard, when Hastigopal was explaining that, I was thinking, as far as I remember, you can correct me, that when we had this drought, or when it was very dry a couple of years ago, we had the best apples ever. It was amazing. I think it was at that time.
The best apples.
Yeah, because normally they don't grow here actually at all. But at that time, so then I was thinking, actually a bad situation is not bad, it's only what you make out of it. And I heard in Ukraine now people are more receptive to Krishna consciousness than before. The devotees are actually taking advantage of the situation also. Of course, doesn't mean that the war is good, but it depends what we do make out of it. And in general, Kali Yuga is the worst age. At the same time, it's glorified to be the best, because just by chanting we become Krishna conscious, and only here Mahaprabhu comes. So it's all from the point of view.
Yeah.
Depends on the point of view and what we make out of it. And actually there's nothing bad then at all. It's only what we can make out of situation. And even the worst situations can be the best for Krishna consciousness.
Dvaite badra badra gyan shab manodharma e balo e manda je balo je manda je sub brahma. The notion that there is auspicious, there is inauspicious. This is good, this is bad. Eshab Brahm, this is all a mistake. That's Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah. Yes, Advaita Singh.
Hare Krishna.
Non-dual lion is speaking.
You spoke about Nivriti and Pavriti Marg, but both paths are a path for salvation, no? Also Pavriti Marg, but it's the path more of entanglement? Is it? Or?
It's, well, when we say entanglement, that suggests a kind of judgment that it's not a good thing. A more neutral is just, a more neutral understanding is it's just the path of engagement in the world. That's all. And then that's the debate in the Mahabharata. Is this a bad thing or a good thing? And this debate is famously comes out in the time when the Pandavas are in the forest and Yudhishthira is sort of being his extremely passive self. Okay, now we have to wait 12 years. You know, that's That's the arrangement. And Bhishma and Draupadi, they become really angry at Yudhishthira. You know, you can't be like this. We have to act. And then it's a whole debate they have on this, on exactly this point of engagement or disengagement. What is the right thing to do? And Bhishma and Draupadi especially are so flustered because Yudhishthira is being so stubborn. He's stubbornly, you know, keeping to the principle that, you know, we have to follow the this curse, whatever you call it, from the having lost this gambling match. You know, we have lost, therefore we have to follow. And they're saying this is all crazy nonsense. It was all unjust in the beginning, and so on.
And so the Bhakti Marg is then both, or one of them sometimes depends on which ashram, or?
Yeah, Bhakti it's a different discourse. There may be more engagement, there may be less engagement, depending on ashram, depending on any number of considerations. And what matters is the pleasure of the Lord. And so, yeah, Arjuna is told, go fight. The same Arjuna, in the Bhagavatam, it's mentioned that after Krishna leaves, Arjuna remembers the instructions he received from the Lord. Those same instructions which compelled him to fight, now he remembers those instructions and resolves to leave the world and go to the Himalaya. Same instructions, different understanding, because his circumstance is now different.
Thank you.
Yes, Sanjay.
I would like to ask a follow-up question in terms to what Hasti Gopal Prabhu said, or asked about Kali Yuga progressing, and I feel like a part of the answer was already given by Ananda Krishna Prabhu, but maybe you can comment more. I was thinking there's the influence of Kali Yuga, which is visible in, I heard now especially about deserts, and that also we are afflicted by that situation. And then we hear stories of, I remember that I heard Srila Prabhupada coming to Africa in one place and doing a huge kirtan, and then even Advaita Singha Prabhu told about this, that they had a kirtan somewhere, and then when drought just ended, it started raining. So, and in detail it's a difference, but in principle it may be the same. It's like personal experiences when we go to Passau and Harinam. The sun is always shining. And even though it would have been raining immediately before we start, then it stops. So, and I'm wondering from those observations, and that may be very limited perspective, so as long as we are afflicted by natural disturbances, does it mean we're not doing the yagya, Sankirtan yagya properly? That's a doubt.
Okay, the question is, if we're affected by disturbances, does it mean we're not doing Sankirtan properly? I wouldn't say we're not doing it properly, but we're learning, we're practicing. And as in general, spiritual life, we're as we pursue our devotional life, things happen, we're disturbed, and we're conscious of this being itself a problem. Why am I disturbed if I'm advancing and progressing in spiritual life? And that awareness is itself an impetus to go further, to progress to a point of being not disturbed. So when you say, oh, we're not doing it right, then we start looking around, okay, what are we not doing right? It may not be that we're not, it may be, what do I want to say? Not that we're not doing it right, but we are practicing. Srila Prabhupada was criticized in India for behavior of some of his disciples, and Prabhupada wrote to this gentleman a long letter, very long letter, explaining that yes, they may not be well behaved, but they're learning, they're doing the right thing. They're chanting Hare Krishna, they're doing the right thing, and therefore, even with all their faults, he was very defensive of his Western disciples, that despite all their faults, they were doing the right thing. But yes, we want to take a humble mood. Maybe we're not doing it right. Let us be guided by the Lord, by the devotees, to do it right. But when we go for Sankirtan, Kirtan in Passau, and instead of raining, the clouds clear, and the sun shines, Haribol, that's nice, no? Yeah. We, in many years ago in Paris, there was Ratha Yatra. We all came down from Radhadesh, and kind of just as the procession began, it started raining. And then as we continued, it was raining more and more. And I was on the Rath cart, but the devotees in front, they just cut loose. They were just dancing, with such joyfulness in the rain, dancing in the rain. It was quite a sight. In Puri, of course, Ratha Yatra happens on a very specific day, which is, the beginning of the summer season, or the rainy season in July, and it's considered most auspicious if it rains on that day. They're hoping it will rain during the Ratha Yatra. Yes. Let's make this the last.
Just a comment also to this. I remember one Ratha Yatra in Berlin. It was also raining cats and dogs, as they say. Ananda was
and
probably
giraffes.
also there. Giraffes as well, yeah. And His Holiness Satchidananda Swami made an announcement that in Kali Yuga, the demigods, they don't shower flowers, they shower rain. And everybody was saying, okay. So
yeah.
There's no inauspicious.
Yes, also we are reminded by Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur that if we remember Lord Chaitanya, then Purna Sukham Sukhayate, Vishvam Purna Sukhayate, the universe is full of happiness. It causes one to perceive the universe as being full of happiness. If we offer respect to Lord Chaitanya, like that. On that happy note, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Go Seva ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. also